Francisco at 1, NFC odds. Lions at 2. Eagles, who are not good, tied with the Vikings, who are excellent, or 3. Then it's the Cowboys in the
big drop-off, by the way, from 3 to 5. 650 to 1,200 is a big drop-off.
Are the Lions
disrespectful to the Packers? But sorry, go ahead.
Packers,
just a little disrespectful.
yeah, they lost to the Eagles and they lost to the Vikings. So
yeah.
where do you want to be?
No, I understand. I'm talking about it being 12-1, but go ahead. Don't worry.
Are the Lions the best team in the NFC?
One of the things you have started to like to say, and I hate to say this, but that I wish I had come up with.
Oh, we're going to be here for a while.
Is I'm an evidence guy.
Yeah.
That is, it's just a good, easily digestible way to be like, that's how I view things. The Lions have the best case of anyone that they're the best team. The evidence would say they're the best team within the context of the evidence can't just be who has the best record. We know that. There has to be a little more nuance than simply put the standings from 1 through 16. They were excellent last year. They filled in whatever little holes they had last year. Those appeared to be good additions that they have made, and young players getting better, like Aiden Hutchinson, like Jamison Williams, who was a superstar collegiate player. It dealt with injuries.
I just have to point out real fast, let's just remember that Nick Wright was laughing at the Lions for signing Jared Goff to all the money and all of that, and was saying that he thinks that they're kind of overrated. And, you know, he didn't say that they're trash and that they're this awful team, but make no mistake about it, he was not acting like that they were excellent last year and that they were going to be excellent this year. That's not the case. He had the Chicago Bears going to the Super Bowl, okay? The Chicago Bears over the Lions to get to the Super Bowl. Never forget. Never forget.
Suspension, and now we're seeing him. Everyone knew they had an excellent offensive line. And I should say, I whiffed on this game entirely. I said I thought it'd be close and low scoring. Instead, it was kind of close, but super high scoring, and the Lions controlled it. One of the reasons I thought was because the Lions without their center, Frank Ragnow, didn't matter. Offensive line could deal with anyway. They have outstanding weapons. They are healthier, Ragnow's injury notwithstanding, than some of the other major contenders. They have a quarterback who has experience in the biggest games, even if he didn't play well in that Super Bowl. We've seen him play in multiple playoffs. And they have just enough playmakers on defense. They didn't have Branch last night. They'll have him back. Hutchinson's awesome. And so right now, they have the strongest argument of any team that this very moment they're the best team in the NFC.
You make a good point. You make a good argument because you include last year. All right, we always
have to
especially early
degree,
in the season, we take that into consideration. San Francisco's banged up and will continue to be banged up, it seems. My pick in the NFC was Green Bay, and I see no reason not to feel good about my pick. Obviously, they just got Jordan Love back. Got stomped by Minnesota in the first half, came back. His first game back, I think he'll get better. So I feel good about Green Bay, but I'm going to answer it for right now.
Yeah, that's what I was doing as well. Yeah, it's different than what will happen
who
in
you
4
think?
months.
I think Green Bay will get to the Super Bowl, but right now, I still would not go with Detroit. You could get me if you want to include last year. I think the team right now in the NFC is Minnesota.
I agree.
Minnesota.
I know you.
And here's the argument, Nick. Now, again, last year they weren't very good, so if you want to make that case. But this year, I think they played a tougher schedule. They're undefeated.
Their schedule's been brutal.
Right. So the teams they've beaten have a combined record of 8-8, which doesn't sound great. But San Francisco, which we believe is a good team, is 2-2. And Green Bay, which, you know, we believe is a good team.
But it also means those teams are 8-4 when they're not playing Minnesota.
Right.
If you said they're 8-8, that means they're 8-4 when they play anybody else.
And then Houston. And those three quarterbacks, Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, they gave them problems. All right, so their defense is great. Detroit's teams that they've beaten are combined 5-9. All right, so Minnesota's played the better schedule. Minnesota has the better record. And even though they've played a tougher schedule, their defense has been better.
See, that's right.
They lead the NFC in points allowed, or they have the fewest points allowed, which is 59. That's 4th in the entire league. And again, with that tough schedule, they're only allowing 14.8 points. Here's the graphic of the offense and defense for the two teams. Minnesota's scoring more points, 4th in the league, and allowing fewer, again, 4th in the league. And remember, tougher schedule. You mentioned the weapons, which obviously Detroit has great ones, but so does Minnesota. You know, with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and they can run the ball with Aaron Jones.
Sam Darnold.
Darnold, look, he should be on pumpkin watch. There's no doubt, and I expect him at some point to turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
But right now, he's playing great. Leads the league with 11 touchdowns.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about this. Here's the reality, and I said this all, going into the season, that this was the gauntlet division. The Packers, the Vikings, the Lions. I thought the Bears were going to be better, but the reality is that really all these teams are great. It's hard to really know who the Packers are because they haven't had Jordan Love, right? And they played, they were able to win without Jordan Love, and it was against, two not so great teams. So that just is what it is. So I don't think we really understand who the Packers are quite yet. But we do have a great idea who the Vikings are and the Lions are. They're going to continue to evolve, of course. I personally do not think that the Vikings are on pumpkin watch. Sorry, Detroit Lions fans. But I will say this. It's clear to me that the Lions are playing themselves into the season, right? I think that they're getting better week to week to week. I wasn't thrilled how they played in week 1, but I was able to justify it, right? I was able to find some of the things that I thought that they still did really well and how much they still stayed connected to that game. And then the second game against the Buccaneers, I was like, that was just not a good game, right? I think that was the second game. That was just not a good game for the Lions. I don't think anything really looked right. Then they played the Cardinals and they won that game, and it definitely looked better, but it's still, I made a whole video talking about it as well where I was like, yeah, they won, but it was still just like not quite there. Again, I could still find positives, but there was also still some negatives, and any game's going to have positive and negatives. Then now this game was definitely a huge splash, an exciting, physical, awesome game. There were still some issues that I talked about on Colin and the Herd, and so I won't rehash that here. But I will say that it's clear that they are getting better and better and better week to week to week, and that's what you're hoping your team is going to do. Not all teams are doing it. There's plenty of other teams that are still winning, but they're not getting better week to week to week. Kansas City Chiefs come to mind. And you have other teams that are just straight up getting worse, or they're just kind of like really inconsistent where it's like they're good, they're not good, they're good, they're not good. Or they start off hot and now they're kind of going down. So I think it's totally fair to say that the Lions are getting, like, I think the Lions are a top team, not only in the NFC, but in the NFL, right? And that's what I kind of talked about as well on the Herd. It's like my expectations for the Lions are winning a Super Bowl, right? It's not just, are they a top team in the NFC? It's like, no, are they a top team in the NFL, right? Can they win a Super Bowl? I still think that they're going to continue to evolve as a team. I still think the decision making needs to be better. But right, in terms of like, if you had to pick right now, because technically I do think that the Vikings are probably technically playing better and are more complete. But if you had to pick and you say, one game, what's it going to be? Who's going to win? Let's go, right? You would have to lean towards the Lions because their punch is just so much more violent. It's just so much more tense. It's just, they have the potential to, like, that run game is just lethal. And when that run game is going, we can see what the passing game of Jared Goff looks like as well. Also lethal, just next level. And like that is just so, it's just smothering. It's so over the top. I'm excited to see what the Lions look like against some of these other teams. I would love to see what they could do to the Chiefs because it feels like the Lions could roll the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been able to take advantage and make these games ugly for a lot of their teams, and it's like I feel like the Chiefs are in such a way that that's not possible. And the fact that the Lions are battle tested, right? That's what then potentially slightly gives them the leg up over, say, the Vikings, because right now the Vikings aren't battle tested. Are the Vikings what the Lions were last year, right? Like that's going to be really interesting. Again, I think the Lions or the Vikings are a great team and a top team in the NFL. They're not on pumpkin watch for me. So that's why I'm really excited to see them go head to head. I think we're going to learn a lot about those two teams. And the problem with the 49ers is that they're not fully healthy. That is the problem. I think the 49ers are also a top team as well, but they're just not 100% healthy. And if they're not 100% healthy, they do not have the ability that I'm seeing to be able to beat the Vikings or the Lions. We saw them lose to the Vikings. And just because you lose to a team doesn't automatically mean that you're inferior, but it just shows the possibility. You can't say with a level of definity, this team is better than that team, in that regard, at least when it's coming to, like, say, the 49ers. But I just think, like, the Lions, when you see what they can do, especially offensively, no defense wants to face that. Not a single defense is, no team is excited to face what the Lions can do offensively. They definitely have to improve defensively, but if you're just going to, if the way to win for the Lions is to turn every game into a track meet, which very well may be what it is, it's like we're just going to be this high scoring, let's go team, right? Then, like, that's what they got to do. They have to avoid those other uglier games, like, say, versus the Rams in week 1 or versus the Bucks, because that's probably not their way to win. Their way to win is to put up points, to dominate the run game, to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, right? It's this hybrid between speed and power. I just think teams leave playing the Lions, just win or lose, they feel beat up, right? They feel worn down. I think that's what the Lions do. They wear you down. So it's just they look dominant. They looked a lot of different ways, quite frankly, against the Seattle Seahawks. In some aspects they looked absolutely dominant. In other aspects it was like, you got to clean that up. And in other aspects it's like, man, Geno Smith is looking great as well, right? Giving up a lot of points. Like, the Lions could have had that game get away from them, theoretically. It was definitely in the cards. So that's why I just think that it's going to be interesting. And this is always a tough question to ask this early on in the season, right? You've only played 4 games to say who is the best team. And that's why I think the better question is like, are they just a top team? Rather than trying to figure out who is the best team, who is the number 1 team, it's, who are the top teams in the NFL right now? And I'm going to put the Lions up there, absolutely. And I'm going to put the Vikings up there as well. And the 49ers, it's tough because, right, if we're not using last year as a frame of reference, I'm not so sure you'd put the 49ers up there, but since we know what they're capable of doing and it seems like that they're going to be getting healthier and get back up there, then you're going to put the 49ers up there. But I think in a lot of ways, here's what the biggest takeaway is from all of this with the Lions. I think in a lot of ways, last season with the Lions, a lot of people looked at the Lions as, yeah, they can punch you. They're big time now, or I shouldn't say that they're big time, but they can keep up, right? They can keep up. They can win this game. They got the puncher's chance, right? They're not favored versus the 49ers, but, like, they got that chance. They can do it. I think the Lions are now evolving into the team where it's like, yo, we are legit. You have to be afraid of us. You're not afraid. You're not just afraid because, okay, this game's going to be a little bit harder than you thought. You need to be afraid because, no, we can dominate this game. I don't know if we're going to dominate this game, but it's absolutely possible. You better bring your A game. You cannot sleep on us for even a second because we will attack. We will attack you like a lion. I mean, honestly, I think it's actually kind of ironic that they are literal the Lions. I think that's like the perfect imagery to what this team is, right? It's just the real question is, they're going to be the Lions like we see on TV sometimes where they're all like, oh, playing with kids and stuff like that and having fun? Or is it the Lions that we know that are actually out there in the wildlife who are just ready to rip your head off, right? Like, that's who the Lions have the potential to be, and it's going to be interesting to see what they continue to be. So I'm excited to see the Lions play the Packers, play the Vikings, play the Bears even. And I'm excited to see this team continue to evolve. But when you look at it on a week-to-week basis, the Buccaneers game is slightly kind of an outlier to a degree. You're seeing them get better and better and better. And as long as they keep doing that, then it's going to be a fascinating playoffs season for sure. So I'm excited. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions being the best team in the NFC or just the NFL like I think so? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.